The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by that big logo above our heads, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. As you can tell, I have a sidecar with me today. CJ Bako comes on to the show, and when CJ comes on, you know what we're talking about. It's soccer time, and CJ, you had a great game last night. Thanks for coming on the show. How are we doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Let's jump right into it. Champion last night. This is their first trip to regionals. Not phased at all by the moment. They take down Norway in 3-1, and they advance to the regional finals. You were on hand. You called the game. Talk about what you saw out of the flashes and what kind of things you think led them to victory.
I mean, they were just electrifying from the moment that the game even started. I mean, I believe 2 minutes in, there was just a through ball from, I believe it was either Savannah Lefkowitz or Maylee Nadal, who found Taylor Kuhn, but the goalkeeper ended up making a nice save for Norway on a one-on-one. But, I mean, ever since then, I mean, Norway just could not really find the grip, and Champion kept pressuring, and I believe the first goal and the only goal of the first half came at the 33rd minute where Maylee Nadal dribbled through about three people going down the sideline, cut the ball back in, and finds Taylor at the top of the box, who put the first and only goal of the first half in. So that was very dominant first half for the Flashes. And then second half, it was just straight from the start of the second half as well. Taylor Kuhn ended up scoring off, I believe, and another assist from Maylee Nadal. And then Taylor, literally 2 minutes after she scored again, drove down the sideline, cut it back, and found Grayson Noski, and they were up 3-0. And as much as I like to talk about Champion's offense, because obviously it was great that entire game, I have to give props to the entire defense. The goalkeeper, Fairchild, she had tons of amazing saves. And Norway actually had a D1 Power 5 player, and Shelby Vaughn. She's committed to Michigan State. And they were able to hold her with only one goal. She probably shot the ball 20 times, but Mia Nadal and that entire Champion defense was just able to shut her down the entire game. So great props to them.
You talk about that first half. Let's break it down first, because it seemed like even though it was just 1-0, watching it, it looked like Champion just had the ball control. They had possession more. They had more shots on goal. They were just attacking more. Did you kind of feel even at halftime like, man, Champion is just controlling this game right now?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they've had just countless opportunities. Someone that's actually really impressed me, obviously, like I said, I was listening Kuhn a lot. But, I mean, freshman Maylee Nadal, I believe we actually have a player profile on her. She is just astonishing. For her own, being her first year, she shows great ball control, great vision. And she had a couple of shots that I thought were surefire goals, but the Norwegian keeper was making some nice saves, actually. But, yeah, no, Champion was constantly in Norway's end pressuring. They just have way too much speed up top, and Norway was not able to handle that. So they were very lucky to only be down 1-0 at halftime.
And then Champion comes out of the half, and they finally break that through. They finally break through. They score their two goals that they scored in the second half in 30 or 30 seconds or something like that. I mean, it was boom, boom. It was really quick. It felt like once those dams broke, it was kind of Champion's run of it. So what was it like to see Champion finally break through?
I mean, it was an exciting feeling. I mean, I was obviously over by the champions like side with all the fans and parents. I mean, it was just like an electrifying moment, hearing everyone cheer and just the atmosphere was crazy. And but yeah, no, it was definitely just nuts. I just felt pure excitement watching that happen.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where you watch it, and like I said, I think at halftime I was watching and I felt like champions got this. They just looked like the better team. And then once those two goals were scored, it was almost like a done deal. I mean, it wasn't because anything can happen, but it was as close to a done deal as you could possibly have. Let's pull up the bracket here in Division 3 and see what champion has in front of them going forward as they go into a regional final. And then you look at the other half of their region in Region 9, and it is the same team that our YSN soccer had to deal with last year. It is Akron Manchester. They get back into the regional finals. Last year, Poland got to this point, had a really good game against Akron Manchester, lost to them in overtime 1-0. Manchester went on to the state semis where they lost to Ottawa Glendorf. See, we were looking at this Manchester team before the show, preparing for this conversation, and oh my, do they look good.
Yeah, they do. I mean, coming into the season, I mean, at this point, they're both champion and Akron Manchester. They're both undefeated. So, I mean, just impressive resumes for both teams. But I think that you have said what Akron Manchester hasn't allowed a goal since like September 11th or something.
Yeah, they have 21 games under their belt so far, and 17 of them have been shutouts. They've only allowed more than one goal once, and that was to a team that I think wins the best high school name ever, Clear Fork, because that's just awesome. Clear Fork, back in the third game of the season, they beat them 4-3. So that was a 12-4 Clear Fork team. Then you look at the rest of their schedule; it was just a bunch of blowouts: 6-0, 8-0, 9-0, 10-1, 7-0, 10-1, 4-0. 8-0, 9-0, 6-0, 1-0. The team that did give them a little bit of trouble that I think champion, if they can find film on to see what the heck they were doing. CVCA, they beat CVCA twice, but one game was 1-0, and the other one was 4-1, which I know in soccer 4-1 is still pretty domination, but when you're beating everybody else 10-1, 9-1, 9-0, and you have a team that holds you to 4, then obviously that team's doing something better than everybody else. So it seems like CVCA was maybe that one team that was giving Akron Manchester the most problems this season. But you look at their last, 7 games after that CVCA game. The wins are 3-0, 8-0, 8-0, 8-0, 8-0, and then 4-0 against Highland last night. So definitely a team that shuts out a lot of people. Their last goal scored upon was September 20th against Maslin Tuslaw. That was 10-1, by the way. So it was probably a garbage time goal when Manchester had a bunch of starters out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be tough. Like I believe that you said it best before the show started when you said if champion wants to be the best, they have to beat the best. And right now, this is going to be probably the best opponent champions faced. Only thing that I really like is champion. So my number one question, I knew that champion liked scoring a lot of goals and they have a very good offense. But my big question going into yesterday's game was, is the defense going to be able to hold up? I think if Champion plays how they played against Norway, it's going to be a very close game. But I think Champion will be able to beat Manchester because Champion's offense is obviously dynamic with, I mean, the Dowd, Noski, and Kuhn up top. I mean, it's hard to stop. You guard one of those players and two more are just going to be open. And then, but if Champion's defense can play like they did against Norway, I think they're going to give Manchester a tough time.
You look at players to watch for Manchester, they're senior led. They're a senior team that is pretty hungry after losing the state semifinals last year. But it is Katie Norris who leads them. She has 62 goals on the season, which is an average of 3 goals per game. She also has 25 assists on the year. So she's going to be someone to watch. They have a couple of other options they can go to in other seniors. You look at their next goal leader is Lauren Gunset, who has 28 goals on the year, 17 assists. And then after that, you have another senior in Gina Tipton, who has 17 goals on the year, 16 assists. So, and definitely a little bit ahead. I think even though they have other options, CJ, when you see stats like that, okay, if you slow down Norris, then you're going to put them in a tight spot. With 62 goals on the year, they definitely lean on her offense a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, honestly, I feel like it's going to be kind of like a Norwayne game as well, and just in this fact that Norwayne had one player up top that they like to get the ball to, and they kind of controlled the offense. Champion, did a very good job against Shelby Vaughn for Norwayne, and they constantly had 2-3 players rotating towards her with the mids, the defense. They played very sound. If they can do that, and they can shut down Norris, they're gonna be tough to beat. So.
And then I want to look at champion stats and their kind of season as well, because I know when we're talking about this Manchester team, we're gassing them up, and it can sound like, oh, we're not giving champion a chance, but let's throw the Flashes some love too this season, because they have been as dominant as anybody. I mean, their goal differential is ridiculous. I think it's above 80 now. They're 21-0. The most goals they've given up all year is what, 2? Yeah, 2 goals. A couple of times they gave up 2 goals to Waterloo, 2 goals to Springfield. I think that's it. 2 goals to Crestview. But all those games, by the way, were games where Champion won by 3 or more. So you could argue that those goals were still in runaway games, just like Manchester's that goal they gave up on the 20th. It was 10-1. So it's like you don't know when those goals came in the flow, but it could have come when Champion was up 8-0 and Waterloo scores 2, late, two goals late or whatever. They did have the struggle with Poland 2-1 in their district championship, where they had to score in the final seconds to have that dramatic not walk off, but as close to a walk off victory as you get in soccer, with Taylor Kuhn scoring with, I believe, like 30 seconds left to win 2-1 over Poland. But then you look at the rest of their schedule. Their closest game this year outside of the tournament was Berkshire with a 3-2 win back on the 5th of October. But like I said, 2 goals, the most they've given up. Their goal differential is ridiculously good. Some of the big games they won were in JFK to open the season, was a big win. Lakeview was a big win as well. And then I think when you beat the teams that have beaten you in the past, that also counts as a big win. I mean, this has been Springfield's MVAC for a long time, and they beat Springfield twice, 3-0 and 8-2. So those are big wins on their schedule as well. And then you go, obviously, Berkshire, Lakeview, Poland, all in the tournament that they were able to beat again. So Champion's schedule and their season is nothing to scoff at when we're talking about how impressive Manchester has been this year.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So what highlight I would like to bring out is you mentioned the Berkshire game. I called that game. While it was 3-2 and it was close, it was like 3-0 for like the entire pretty much part into the second half. Then Berkshire got a goal with like 20 minutes left, and then Champion literally just controlled like all the possession, and then Berkshire with like literally like a minute and 15 seconds left just got like a breakaway, and then they ended up scoring. But I mean, even though that game was close, like in the score wise, the game was not really close. It was just only close on paper is what I'm trying to say, but Champion really controlled that entire game. So it was,
that's a good Berkshire team. So that's pretty impressive to say we controlled that game. You look at their stats, they don't have anyone like Norris that has scored 62 goals this year, but they do have Taylor Coons with 45, and then they have 2 more players with more than Manchester's second best, because Grace Noski has 33 goals and Maylene Dowd has 26. So they have a little bit more of a balanced offense maybe than Manchester does. I know Manchester has a couple of players that have double-digit goals outside of Norris, but the difference between Norris and her teammates is way bigger than the difference between Taylor Kuhn and her teammates. So maybe, hopefully, at least for Champion, their spread offense and their different players that can beat you will be one of the advantages that they carry into this game.
Yeah, and something that I found out, like just like watching the flashes, and I noticed this. I don't know if like anyone else really has, but Champion, their defense frustrates like the living heck out of opponents.
Oh,
Like I've
I
seen
saw a
multiple.
blatant foul on Norway that was all frustration last night. I think it happened towards the end of the first half. Like just an
Yep,
absolute shoulder check, and it
yep,
was
that
all
was.
frustration.
Yep, I believe that was Vaughn because what Champion does is, at least I haven't seen. They might be talking crazy on the field, but I don't see it. But Champion, it doesn't look like they ever get emotional, and they come out and their defense, especially like I said, Vaughn going to Michigan State, probably the best girl I've seen play so far. She, like I said, was their main offense. Champion frustrated her by sending like that defense that they ran last night. She wasn't really able to get shots off, and that one foul you're talking about, end of the first half. That was I remember that because it was actually Vaughn who fouled because it was Mia Nadowd stripped her, and then as she was coming up, she just got shoulder checked and from behind because when you're getting like when you have like someone that's like a star on the team and you can't really get a shot off, it's going to get to you. And I feel like if they can frustrate Norris, they'll have a really good shot at beating Manchester.
Yeah, and Katie Norris is going to Walsh. I just looked it up. She's a Walsh soccer commit.
Okay.
So that's another college commit that they're going to have to deal with, but not Power 5, not
Oh,
Michigan State.
yeah.
So you look at the top half of this regional bracket, which we have to look at because if Champion wins, they'll obviously be scoreboard watching. Ottawa
Yeah.
Glandorf, who is probably one of the favorites in Division 3. They are the ones that beat Manchester in the state semifinals last year. They are still alive. They won 2-0 last night against Apple Creek Waynedale, and they will play Glandorf won 5-0. They will play Eastwood, who won over Waynedale 2-0. So Glandorf won 5-0 over Riverdale, not the TV show, but the high school in Ohio. And Glandorf, they're the favorites in the Division 3, and if Champion wins, they'll have probably you never know what happens, but they'll probably have a shot at Glandorf.
Yeah.
Bottom half of the bracket, just to update you on what went down there. Cincinnati Madera got the win in overtime, 2-1 over Kalida. You have West Liberty out of Salem get the win 2-1 over another Cincinnati team. And then Lynchburg Clay gets the win, and Cincinnati Day gets the win. So you had 3 Cincinnati teams all in the regional semis, and 2 of them get out into the regional finals down there in the bottom half of the state bracket. Champion right in the middle. They'll play Manchester. That game is going to be on the 4th, which is Saturday, 4 o'clock, and it will be at Talmadge, I believe. Yep, Talmadge High School, the Talmadge football field, that will be the host of that regional final against Akron Manchester.
Yeah.
So CJ, now we go into Division 2 because we had another team lined up in Division 2. We actually had 2 teams lined up in Division 2. They were going to be set to play each other if they both won. Unfortunately, we have to give a shout out to Archbishop Hoban on a great season because they fell 1 goal short of Bay Village Bay. 2-1 the final score there. So we are robbed, very rudely robbed, of an all YSN regional final. But Canfield, we talked about them before the break. They have just been looking absolutely unstoppable all season. They cruised to a 3-0 victory over Alliance. They don't get the upset like West Branch did. And Canfield is in the regional finals. CJ, we were talking about this. Canfield is looking like a team right now that is just poised to go win a state tournament, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I haven't looked really at the other teams, but I've got to cover Canfield girls soccer twice this year. One by myself, and then the other one was with Matt Maher, which it was the game against Streetsboro, I believe.
That was your district championships. Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, Canfield's defense is just absolutely insane. Like, I mean, the goal differential in the district championship game, obviously they mercied the other team. They won 8-0. But Matt Maher was telling me going into the district championship game, the goal differential was 31 goals for, 0 against. And to have that through 3 games or whatever, or no, 4, yeah, 3 games is just insane. So it's crazy.
Their first 2 tournament games were both 10-0, just quick get in, get out games. And now here they are with a 3-0 win over Alliance. The stats for this one: Macy Taporser 2 goals, Hannah Wahib had the third. Taporser had the assist. Loriana Janone had another assist for Canfield. This is the one that just blows my mind. In a regional semifinal, they're supposed to be close. 2 really good teams. Canfield outshot Alliance 18-4. That tells you how much possession and control of this game Canfield had. When your opponent only gets 4 shots on goal, and shots can see the shot can be anything that you put towards the goal counts the shot. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a good shot or a breakaway shot. It says, hey, I got the soccer ball, I kicked it towards the goal, that's my shot. So those 4 shots might not have been like great opportunities or great scoring opportunities for Alliance either.
Yeah, no, and I mean I would have to guess probably not, because it's like I said, Canfield's defense is insane. I was talking to Matt about it when they were playing. Just they're a very, very well coached team. I mean, Coach Simon over there obviously knows what he's doing, because every time in the Streetsboro game, which Streetsboro, why they beat them 8-0, Streetsboro lost like 2 games all year. They were like 17-2. They were a very good team. And to get beat 8-0 by Canfield, the Canfield's defense is nuts, because anytime Streetsboro will get the ball, there's constantly 2 people, and they rotate very well. And Canfield might have had like 70% possession that entire game, if not more. It's just, and when you have the ball that much amount of times, obviously you're going to outshoot the opponent, and it's very hard to beat a team like that.
Yeah, Canfield, like I said, outshot them 18-4, but their goalkeeper only had 2 saves. So that tells you that 2 of their shots were probably wild, not even needing to be saved. They're not even putting pressure on their goalkeeper. They're saying, hey, you take the night off a little bit. We'll keep people away from you completely. And then they have 3 Division I commits on the team. I mean, that's just brutal when you have to go up against it. I mean, Ava Paris is going to YSU. Then you have, of course, Hannah Wahib, who's also going to YSU, and Macy Taporse are going to Purdue Fort Wayne. So you have 3 players all going on to play in the Horizon League, all on the same roster. That's really hard to contend with.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, even just like one D1 player is very hard to beat. But I mean, when you have 3 and they're all up to it's just crazy. I mean, it's not many teams are going to have the roster to stop that. So
let's look at their bracket and see what they have looking forward to in Division 2. Canfield gets the win. They'll play Bay Village Bay in the regional semifinals. The regional finals, I should say. This one's going to be staggered a little bit, so it'll be before that champion game. So if you're a crazy nuts soccer fan, you could probably go to both. Let's see where this site is, unless it's crazy. No, I think Twinsburg, you could probably get out of Twinsburg if that game's over by 1 o'clock and get to town, which is pretty easy. By 4 o'clock to see champions. So if you're a soccer nut, you can get out there and see both games. I want to look at Bay Village Bay. I know they're known for their boys teams, of course. They've won several state championships in boys soccer. Let's see what their girls soccer team is all about.
all right.
I'm going to look them up on Max Preps, but I forgot that you can't search Bay Village Bay. You have to search Bay and then find them. Bay Village Bay. It's really fun to say. Looking at them, they are 18-2-1, 6-1 in the conference. They obviously just beat Archbishop Hoban 2-1. Their last loss on the year came on October 4th against Rocky River, 7-2. And then the game before that, they tied Avon Lake 2-2. They've also lost to Medina 3-2. And those are their only 2 losses on the season. So a very formidable team in Bay Village Bay, but there are some chinks in the armor. And if you have little chinks in the armor, I don't like your chances against Canfield, to be honest.
Yeah. Canfield is undefeated, so.
Looking at their stats, they have one girl that has just been dominating their goals, junior for them. Her name is Tessa Knapp. She has 57 goals On the year, he also has 16 assists, 130 points, averaging 6.5 points per game. So you look at that, one player with 57. The next highest is 13 goals by another junior. I'm going to try to get this name pronounced right. Emery Aschenbrenner.
Okay.
He has 13 goals, so they really heavily rely on Knapp to get their goals with 57. That's another thing that I really don't like your chances against Canfield. If you go into a defense like the Cardinals and you only have one player that you really have been leaning on all year, it's got to be a little bit easier to stop than if you're a balanced offense.
Oh yeah, definitely. Kind of like we were talking about earlier with Manchester and Champion. I mean, if one team has like only one player that they can count on, it's you become one dimensional. It's going to be kind of easier to stop, obviously. But I mean, if you have someone that can like multiple people that can spread, multiple people that can score, it makes it tougher on a defense. But I mean, I really like Canfield's odds against Bay Village Bay. So
Let's look at the rest of the bracket on the top end of the region, where Canfield, if they win, would be playing that next team in the state semis. Rocky River, one of the teams that beat Bay Village Bay, is in the regional finals. They got the 8-0 win in the semis over Malamie.
oh my
And
god.
then you had a 3-0 win for Madison Camp. They got the win over Lima, 3-0. So they're in the regional semifinals. Camp versus Rocky River in the top half of that region, where Canfield, if they win, would be matched up with them. And then you have the bottom half of the state. Millsboro West Homes, 4-2. They get the win over John Glenn. Marietta gets the 2-0 win over Fairfield Union. So they're in the finals. Bottom of the bracket, you have Waynesville. They get the 9-2 win over Bloom Carroll. And then Baden loses to Country Day 3-1. So Country Day is in the regional finals as well. So that's the state bracket, how it looks. Canfield, Bay Village Bay, that game on the 4th at 11 a.m. at Twinsburg.
All right. Wow. That's crazy. A team Mercy ruled another team, Rocky River, has eight schools in a regional match is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking like regional semifinals are supposed to be close, and some of these teams don't get the memo.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
We do have soccer tonight as well. One boys team left, and it's the one that everyone expects to be in this situation. The Howland boys won their fifth straight district championship. They're in the regional semifinals. CJ, I know you know about this Howland boys team. What makes them so special? What about their program is just so dang dominant?
I mean, it's really their defense as well as, like I said. Then again, I'm obviously a more defensive oriented player, but it's their defense is just nuts. I mean, the games that I've watched, granted, I did see them lose against Canfield in a game that they had a couple of chances, but Canfield played really well.
And you're talking about defense. They played good defense in that game. They just came up a little bit short.
Yeah, no, definitely. They've played just like I said, phenomenal defense. That's crazy good. And then up top, they have a balanced attack, but obviously their player to mention is senior Caleb Rose. I mean, he's just a hell of a player. And yeah, it's tough to stop those Tigers, especially when they get on a roll like this. So
we'll pop up their bracket and talk about their regional right here. I just pulled it up. We'll pop them back up on the screen. Howland in a matchup tonight with Minter Lake Catholic. That'll be at 7 o'clock in Region 5, and that will be at St. Vincent St. Mary, so up in Akron. Howland making the trip. Other regional that they're lined up with that we'll be keeping an eye on, especially if Howland wins, is Painesville Harvey against, you guessed it, Bay Village Bay. They pop up again.
Yeah, Bay Village Bay definitely has a great soccer program up there, I guess.
What are they doing, man? They got some soccer mojo.
Yeah, for their boys and girls team both to be in regionals is just nuts.
We see this happen sometimes, like even in our area with like champion softball and baseball back in 2017. They both won state championships, and they're both usually up there in the conversation for district championships and regional qualifiers. Something about there's some communities when one team raises the bar in the sport, if there's a boys equal, it kind of or a girls equal that is looking at it, they just say, "Hey, I want to get there," and you just see the program start to really almost just test each other a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's just nuts. I mean, shout out to them. Even though they're not a YSN school, that is very impressive. They have two teams, just both in the regionals.
So we look at Howland 13-2-4 on the season, 6-1-1 in the conference. Not your typical Howland record. I think on their standards, you'd probably say quote unquote down year. But how many
Yeah.
teams would love to have 16 wins in a down year or 13 wins in a down year? But they're
Mhm.
coming in playing really well. You look at the last couple of games, they beat a very good Ursuline team 3-0. They beat the Hubbard 4-1. They beat Mooney 1-0 to get to this point. They beat Orange 3-1. They beat Warren Harding 8-1. Their last loss was a 1-0 tough one against Solon, who's a
Mhm.
Division One team, sitting at 5-9-4 on the year. That was on October 14th.
Yeah.
But they're coming in playing really good soccer right now, especially on defense. The last time they allowed more than one goal, you have to go all the way back to that loss to Canfield on September 14th.
Yep. I mean, for the Tigers right now, I feel like they're getting hot at exactly the right moments, and I mean, they're playing probably their best soccer of the year, and especially going into the regional semifinals, you have to be playing your best. And right now, I mean, I'm giving I'm not champion. I'm giving Howland a shot over anyone right now. I mean, they're playing just great.
You got to also point out that when you're a team that consistently gets into regionals, experience is a big factor too. You've been there, you've done that, you know how to win in this kind of game, in this kind of atmosphere. Even when seniors graduate, they pass on that standard of we know how to win. That's why we see these premium programs in football, in soccer, in basketball, in volleyball consistently get to this point because even when seniors graduate, you see the next players step up and understand exactly what standard it takes to get there. So Howland is a team, a program that has been successful for a long time because they had that set standard, and every class that comes in keeps meeting that bar.
Oh yeah, definitely. And crap, I'm trying to remember. Do you know exactly when was the last time Howland won a state championship?
It was 2 years ago, right? They won it. It was their first state championship. They'd gotten close.
Mhm.
I think in no, it must have been in 22. It must have been last year, right? Was
Oh
it
yeah, I
last
think so.
year?
I remember it being recent. That's why I brought it up.
Oh, last year they lost 2-1 to Shawnee.
Okay.
Maybe it was 20. Maybe it was that COVID year.
Oh,
I
okay.
know it was very recent because I remember covering it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
won. They won against Tippecanoe in the state championship in 2020.
Okay. Okay.
That was their COVID year. They didn't have as many games played, but they beat Bay Village Bay that year, which was this is the match. It's a soccer rivalry. They've always meet each other in the tournament. That year was really highly anticipated. They beat Bay Village Bay 1-0. And then I think everyone kind of realized that once that was pretty much the state championship because Howland ran away with the rest of the tournament. Their next games were 6-1, 3-0, and 5-0. So they that Bay Village Bay game that year was pretty much everyone in the soccer community thought, even though it happened in the regional semis, this is your state championship,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and that's
And
that's what it came down to.
going back to that like senior leadership and stuff is I brought it up because obviously Howland didn't know exactly how many seniors they have, but one like I said that I was talking about earlier was Caleb Rose, and he was on that state championship team. I mean, for you to get there and you to be there every year, I mean it's a step up over the competition, especially with a team that hasn't really been there that much.
You look at the stats. Rose leads them in goals scored with 23. And then they have just a bunch of guys with, 5, 6, 4, 4, 3, 5. So no one else is like blowing up the stats,
Yeah.
but only one guy on the team hasn't scored a goal. So everyone's kind of chipping in every now and then. That's got to be a brutal team to try to defend because anybody can score on the team.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially like if you're that well rounded, like I said, it becomes very hard to stop because what like we were talking about earlier, just one player you can just kind of send basically your entire team at them, and but I mean if Howland has like 7, 8 guys that just like will just score on you, I mean you're not going to defend that. So
But you said it, they're a team that leans more on their offense than their defense, and that than their more on their defense than their
yeah.
offense. They've scored 59 goals all season, which isn't a bad number, but it's not eye popping. It's not blowing your mind to say 59 goals in a year. There are
Yeah.
some players in the state of Ohio that have that just individually.
Yeah.
So they're not a team that like blows you out by scoring, but their defense is unreal. And then their goalkeeping is also really, really good. You look at this goaling stats, and it's been a sophomore that's been most of it. Connor, is it Connor? Sorry, Carter. Carter
Yeah.
Jones in the goal as a sophomore has played 13 of their games in the goal, and he's done a really good job keeping other teams in check.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's it's always tough when you have like a great goalkeeper because there'll be times where he'll think that you have a surefire goal and they'll just make it a fantastic save. It's always a step up over your competition. If you have just the defense that Howland has, it's just insane. But if you have a goalkeeper that even when the defense gives like an oh crap moment, the goalkeeper can kind of bail them out. I mean, it's nice to have.
I've always said that goalkeeping takes a special mindset. You can't just put anyone back there. You know, it takes a special kind of person to, you know, be in that kind of zone where, you know, goalkeepers, you're getting the ball fired at you and you can't dodge it. You have to stop it.
Yeah.
That's against your human instinct when a ball's coming hurling at you and you don't know where it's going because it's not someone passing it to you. Your human instinct is get out of the way. But I think it
Oh,
takes a special brand of person to not do that and to block that instinct and to get in the way of the ball because a lot of goalkeepers don't catch it; they just deflect it with their body. So,
mhm.
I think it's a very special mindset to play the goalkeeper.
Yeah, you definitely have to have a type of fearlessness. I knew because up through like actually up through high school, I was playing goalkeeper for like rec and all that stuff, and it definitely takes a type of fearlessness because sometimes like a kid will break away. I mean, it's crazy getting told by your coach that when a kid's like running at you, you have to charge out at them and then dive at them. I mean, it's definitely you're kind of like wait what? But yeah, no, it takes a different type of fearlessness. And shout out to Carter Jones for doing that.
Only 3 teams all season have scored 2 goals on Howland. Canfield, Marlington, and Hubbard all had 2. Hubbard and Marlington were both in 2-2 ties. Canfield was in that 2-0 win for Canfield. Then they came back and tied Canfield 1-1 later on in the season. So even though it was, like I said, a quote unquote down year for Howland, that is an up year for most teams with 13 wins and still a pretty dang good defense that only allows 2 goals, 3 times all season. So very impressive. They have a really good chance tonight to be our 3rd team for soccer in the regional semis. CJ, when you talk about our area soccer, every year for the last, I believe it's 7 seasons, we've had at least one team in the area, whether it be boys or girls in soccer, make it to the state tournament. Like, people don't talk about that enough, but we have really, really good soccer at the state level here in the Youngstown area.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you got some historic programs around us, like obviously for like boys. I mean, you're talking about like Howland, who's there a lot. I mean, Mooney's a very good soccer team who Howland just beat 1-0. But I mean, don't sleep on Mooney. They've had a great year as well.
They were
They're
one of
always
those
really
teams a couple years ago. They got to state for us. You
yeah.
got to
They're
state a couple years ago. They're a good soccer program. You got
mhm.
on the girls' side, I believe South Range, when they had Gabby Lamparty a couple years ago, made a really deep run. Poland went to the regional finals last year. Poland
Mhm.
boys have gone far in the past with Noah Huda, you know, and the great team they had in the past. So you look at the teams that we've had, and then of course Howland, who has won a state championship. South Range boys got to a state championship back in 16. So you're getting teams right there to the state championship consistently. We have good soccer in the area.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like we're keeping it going this year with those 3 teams. So
Keeping it going. 3, hopefully. We have to we get that win tonight for Howland. So if Howland wins, we'll have 3 teams in the regional finals. That's 3 chances for YSN to put someone in the state semi, which is all you can ask for. We're going to take a break, CJ. When we come back, we'll talk more sports on YSN's Running Point,
All right.
brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
But now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
What can you do on over 5,000 acres? At Mill Creek Metro Parks, you can discover unique habitats and wildlife, create memorable family moments, experience history, heritage, and park programs, explore scenic landscapes, take time to relax and be well, connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means taking care of our local customers.
And it's just a great feeling to put them in a vehicle and get them all excited about a new vehicle.
At the end of the day, our goal is to be someone our customers can count on.
And every day I'll go the extra mile for the community so they can trust us.
To do anything that would convenience the customer or make them feel more at home.
Realizing, number one, that we're here for them and that we're not going to go away.
That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
That is what going the extra mile means on Greenwood Chevrolet. That's what going the extra mile means here on Running Point as well. Anthony Hartwig along with CJ Sealing.
Yeah.
You there, buddy?
Yep, I'm here now.
Oh, your video must be frozen because it's still stuck on your ceiling. But we hear you, which is the most important thing.
Oh, okay.
You've not only been covering soccer all year, CJ, you've been doing football as well. You were in Mogador last week for the tough one for LeBray. This week we have a full slate of football as well in the playoffs. What game are you kind of looking forward to when you look at the schedule and you think playoff matchups? What catches your eye this week for football?
Well, I mean, if I had to say anything, it's probably going to be the state champion last year, Canfield, going up against undefeated Ursuline. I mean, you can't ignore that matchup.
No, you can't, and it's so anticipated. It's 2 local teams, of course, but it's teams that kind of everyone wants to see play each other, and everyone anticipates seeing them playing each other. Powerhouses, and you said it, when you have a team that is a lot of people's favorite in the area this year to win state, and then a team who won state last year, you got to look at that and say, big-time matchup.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a good game. I mean, Canfield, they obviously lost like a group of seniors that was very impactful for them, but I mean, they've been finding a way to win. And obviously, Ursuline's also just hasn't found a way to lose this year. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough game.
I like that you say that because I've been saying it all year. One of the big differences between this Ursuline team and Ursuline teams we've seen in the past, even that one that went all the way to the state championship a couple of years ago and lost, I feel like this Ursuline team is just more tightly knit, more disciplined, more of that team that avoids a big mistake. They seem like a very shiny, spotless team that is really hard to find mistakes and really hard to find a weakness. And you can dive in film. You're gonna have to nitpick to find a weakness in this team.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, as much as Canfield won the state last year, I mean, it's going to be very tough for them to beat this Ursuline football program. I mean, they're having an historic year.
The matchup I'm looking forward to the most this game, CJ, is the battle between Ursuline's D line and Canfield's offensive line, because the run game is so important for Canfield, especially this year when they don't have Brock Lowry as a quarterback. They're running so much with Eaton and with Inglis. They love to run the football to establish the pass, but if you can make them one-dimensional, you put them in a tight spot. But their offensive line, especially the last 5 games, has been playing really, really well. So I want to see how they stack up with Ursuline's defensive line and their run defense, and how much Ursuline can really stop Canfield from running the football.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a battle of the trenches there for sure. I mean, whoever really gets the upper edge in that game, it's going to set the tone for pretty much the whole game.
And then on the other side of the ball, can Canfield's secondary find a way to slow down the offensive juggernaut that is the outsides of the receiving core of this Ursuline team that has just been giving people fits? It's so hard because they have athletes on the outside, but then they have one of the best running backs in the area, if not in the state, in Christian Lynch, who they can hand the ball off to. And if you're not gap sound, or you're not putting extra people on the line to stop him, you're just not going to. This kid's a monster. He has a football pedigree. His brother went to Georgia Tech. His father also a D1 football player. He's going to Princeton. Like, it's this football in the Lynch household. And this kid, Christian, is just lighting the world on fire like he did last year as well. Very hard to stop. And you also have to play respect to the outside threats and receiver, and you can't do both. So watching teams trying to figure out how they're going to try to slow down this offense has been kind of fun to watch all season.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely going to be tough. Wow.
Some of the other matchups that we have on the network on Friday, all of them are going to be on ysnlive.com. One payment of $9.99 gets you access to every single game. So all you have to do is pay once, and you get access to the whole playlist. We have Barberton and Hoban. That's the Purple People Leaders of the Magic, and Barberton taking on Archbishop Hoban, who won pretty easily against Akron Ellet last week. Austintown Fitch, a big test, going to Walsh Jesuit. Canfield and Ursuline, who we've been talking about. Streetsboro, who is very good at scoring the football, going to West Branch, who had to escape a little bit of an upset bid from Woodridge last week. 2 late touchdowns gave West Branch the 14-point win over Woodridge. Niles goes to Middle Lake Catholic. Niles looking very, very good this year. 2-8, I should say, last year. Now a playoff team with 7 wins, hoping to get into that regional semifinal round. They have to do it on the road. Struthers at Poland. I like this one, CJ, because the first time they went up against each other in week 10, it was overtime. It came down to a 2-point conversion. Struthers went for the win. Poland got the stop. Poland wins 28-27 in overtime. So you got to expect this one to be just as thrilling. Poland, Struthers versus Poland. Garrettsville Garfield on the road in this second round of the playoffs. A little bit disrespected in the eyes of themselves. They feel like, hey, we're undefeated. How are we just a 5 seed? They go to 4 seed Harrison Central, and they're going to be an angry football team. We go to South Range. They're hosting Ridgewood, the 7 seed, after Ridgewood knocked out Edison last week. Cuyahoga Heights traveling to United. Middle Ridge at Rootstown. Pie Valley coming off their very close win over Crestview. They go to Mogador, a team that you saw last week. CJ, I want to talk to you about this one because you called Mogador last week, and they obviously won 20-0 over LeBray. What kind of things impressed you about this Mogador team that we seem to see in the playoffs succeeding every single season?
So they have a very good quarterback that I saw. This is my first time covering them, but so this is just all one game. Their quarterback was Zeke Cameron, I believe, if I got the name right. And he was lighting it up early in the first half of the game with running. He had a couple nice throws. He hooked up with his wide receiver, number 8. I forget his name, but they were constantly hooking up. He had a touchdown, great game. And they were doing very well. But they had 3 running backs, and they were Cole Reese, Augustine, and there was somebody else that got occasional touch too. But they had 3 running backs, and they were constantly just pounding the football. And then with the passing game, it was very good. They were up 28-0 in the first half. But the thing that kind of concerned me a little bit is Zeke Cameron, their quarterback, with about like 5 minutes left in the second quarter, went out of the game, and he came out at halftime with his ankle taped up. He did not return the entire game.
That's
so
not good. I mean, that's not good because that game wasn't out of question at halftime. It wasn't like they had a 35-0 lead. So,
yeah,
if they're taking their quarterback out, that's something they want to be very precautionate about. So that's scary in Mogador Nation. This is a very important question for the style that Pymatuning Valley plays. CJ, was Mogador more of a run to set up the pass type offense, or did they pass to set up their run and make you want to spread your defense out and then hit you with that run because you were so keyed on their pass game? Which style was it? Usually Mogador is run first and run heavy, but now that you're telling me they have some receivers and a really good quarterback, I'm starting to think, are they a team that makes you forget how good of a running team they are, or are they still ground pound and then we'll hit you with the play action?
No, they were definitely at least when they had Cameron in, they were a pass to set up a run. When they had Jabber was their backup quarterback who came in. When Jabber was in, they leaned on their running game a lot more. But when they had Cameron in, they were definitely throwing the ball around. They were doing some swing passes, screen passes, short passing, and then next thing you know, they hit you with like a 35-yard pass downfield. So it was tough for LeBray to stop. But as much as I want to give like full credit to like the offense and stuff for putting up 28 points in the first half, Mogador held LeBray scoreless the entire game. Which, I mean, LeBray, they like some people say they snuck in, but LeBray had a pretty good football program. They held Davin Derry, who is probably their best player, to I don't know, maybe like 65 yards the whole game, and they had multiple turnovers. They were constantly, I mean, LeBray had a chance to hit like a 45-yard field goal, and that was like LeBray's best opportunity all game to score. So, I mean, Mogador's defense was just nuts that entire game.
Sounds like it's going to be really tough for Pymatuning Valley because they're going to have to prepare for if Zeke is there and if Zeke's not, because it sounds like they're going to be two completely different teams depending on who they throw out there at quarterback on the offensive side of the ball. So obviously Pymatuning Valley going to have to do some prep work for two different kind of Mogador styles. And then you look at Pymatuning Valley's style as an offense, they are absolutely, we're going to ground you. Like they are big, they are physical, they are run first, run all day, 3 yards, cloud of dust. A little bit different than LeBray. How do you think that style of football is going to stack up against Mogador? What was your takeaways on their size up front and their ability to push the line of scrimmage and really stop maybe a run first offense?
So they had a couple defensive, pretty much their entire defensive line was 6 foot plus. There was, I think, like one kid that was probably like 5'10", I believe. But
that's
they
Mogador.
they had this 6'5" middle linebacker who's also a wide receiver, and he played very well. There was times where Derry would like try to like break outside, and he would just get clobbered by him. I mean, I feel like they definitely have a lot of size, and they're going to match up well against the PV team. So I think Mogador, I mean, not trying to jinx them or anything, but I think they have a very good shot of moving on.
All right, Springfield will go to Danville. Danville with the rout over McDonald last week. I keep saying last year. No, not last year. Last week. And then a MVAC round 2 matchup between Lowville and Western Reserve. The Rockets are going to be the one on the road. Western Reserve with the home game in the regional semis. So a good slate of football. You look like you're not on the spreadsheet. Are you going somewhere?
No, I'm not doing a Friday game because I didn't really know how it was going to work out for my work this week. But
all right, but I can say that the spreadsheet has gone green on Saturday, so we can officially say that champion soccer team will be covered at 4:00 by CJ in Talmadge. It has been paid for. It is green. You're good to go. So champion versus Akron Manchester in Talmadge at 4:00. CJ will have the call. You are also going to be able to see Canfield's girls soccer team. That has been paid for. That is green, good to go. Matt Marr will be on the call there. Canfield versus Bay Village Bay on the girls soccer side. That is going to be Saturday. So a couple of days before we get to that. Tonight, once again, we are previewing Howland versus Mineral Lake Catholic on boys soccer side, and Akron St. Vincent St. Mary. We wish them the best of luck. And then tomorrow, we got to talk about volleyball real quick before we get out of here, because Crestview and McDonald are both in the regional semifinals. McDonald in Division 4, Crestview in Division 3. McDonald has Canton Central Catholic, that game happening in Strongsville, and then Crestview going back to Barberton for the 5th straight year, trying to get their first win in the regional semifinals, though, in that stretch. And they will go up against Smithville, the Smithies. What's the Smithies, CJ? What's your best guess?
I'm not going to lie. I have no idea who they are.
Me neither. Their mascot looks like, I would say, like maybe a miner. I think he has like the hard hat with a pickaxe.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what a Smithy is. I'm guessing it's just a guy from Smithville. I don't know. It's whatever you want it to be, right? But their mascot, if I remember correctly, I think is kind of like a miner dude, like a hard hat and a pickaxe. I want to look it up now. This is how the show goes. We're gonna look it up. We're gonna look up Smithville to get their mascot. Because I remember our volleyball team played them not too long ago in regionals. Okay. And I remember the guy, the mascot running up and down the baseline, getting the fans jazzed up. Come on, give me the image. Come on. Yeah, I mean, a miner, maybe you could say like a sailor, an anchor. I don't know what he's working on. He's got like a hammer, and he's hammering like a I don't even know what you would call it. An anvil? I don't know. Maybe it's like a blacksmith, a smithy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it, with the hammer and hitting the like a forge. That would make sense, like a blacksmith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really know.
Who knows? But that's who Crestview's got. The Green Mean Fighting Machine out of Smithville. And then, of course, the number one team in the state winning on the other end of the region. Mineral Lake Catholic playing against Independence in the other regional semifinal down there in Barberton as well. So we want to wish best of luck to those teams. We'll obviously talk more about those matchups on tomorrow's episode of Running Point. CJ, man, thanks for coming on. The whole show. Let's go.
Yeah, of course.
Getting some soccer talk. You had a great call with Campion last night. We'll see you again on Saturday, and have a good time. And you're always welcome on the show.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we will sign off for today. This has been an episode of Running Point brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet